Hi everyone, it's Ray from Ray Life Coaching here at Middle River Yoga Studio in Stafford Springs, Connecticut again. The morning and night was a little tumultuous for myself. I don't know how you've been, but something that has been crossing my mind is the word boundaries. And I was just listening to a podcast called Multiamory, and they were talking about, are you the toxic one? And I think it's funny why boundaries and toxicity have anything to do with each other, but sometimes we set boundaries to make sure that what we think is toxic outside of us is not going to affect us in some way, or create space away from those things or people that affect us in what we think is a negative way. So it's interesting because a few things have been coming up for me around this, around my own ability to take care of myself, really. It comes right down to that. And so the question in the podcast from Multiamory was, are you the toxic one? Is interesting because I think no one really is toxic. No one's bad, right? Because that's kind of shameful in a way. When you start to own these labels, you start to believe that you're something. But actions, behaviors can hurt us, and I think boundaries have a lot to do with that, in that they're fluid and they may change, and we may learn something about ourselves and about how to navigate what's happening inside. So I'm going to give you an example. I teach my boundaries in classroom versus personal life are actually not exactly different, but my position is different, and I have to be aware of that. I have to be aware of where I'm taking the class, how to hold space for people to hold space for themselves and others in the class. I have to be a representative of that. So that comes with intention, right? So that's the precursor to boundaries. It's like knowing what you're about and why you're there. And I think if you don't have that, then it's very hard to gauge, to have clarity more so on what's happening inside. There are signals that are happening usually, whether it be words or feelings or body sensations. Of course, it's your reaction to what's happening externally, but that's showing up and you're perceiving that because of where you're at already. So to say one thing is toxic versus another, me versus you, is kind of, I don't know, a little bit of a joke because we're not that far apart from each other. My perception and how I react is mine, and vice versa. And I wouldn't even see what you're doing exactly. I wouldn't be affected. I wouldn't have to respond if I didn't already have that lesson to be learned. So to say one is toxic and the other one isn't is kind of like, well, how much are you playing that game? How much are you a part of this? You can say, oh wow, this person. Instead, it might be more like, instead of, oh, they're toxic, they're doing toxic behavior, be like, wow, they're really hurting. And if you're in that place of, wow, they're really hurting, in a real, true, compassionate way, instead of enmeshed, let me help them and take care of them way, and be their savior or whatever, that's different. Then it won't feel as toxic. You'll see that their behavior is probably not all that helpful, but you'll be able to separate yourself in a way. And so yesterday I found myself realizing that I have to step into that role more than I am doing. Step into that role of, I don't have to do it this way anymore. And so the question is, what are my intentions when I come into a place? And they may be the same every single time, maybe just I'm always caring for myself. And I know when I do that, when I speak my truth, when I'm really honest with me, say, this is what's coming to me right now, then I can detach enough and really take care of not just me, but I think even if others or things are outside of me are not so happy with that, it's neither here nor there in the end, because you have to, I think at that point when you're really honest and you're bringing it out into the open, it makes it almost like a no return. Like you have to then do the actions involved. Like, oh, you know what? I think I need to leave now. It's time for me now, or whatever it is. Yeah, it sounds so easy. And I know it isn't, because even in the simplest of times, I find myself doing that enmeshment or blaming or whatever it is. And but it's a food for thought as to how do you take care of yourself, and doing it in a way that doesn't attach yourself to really anything but your own work. Because once you start attaching yourself, yes, they're going to seem very toxic, whatever it is, because you've bought into it. You've played the game. You're part of the toxicity. But more food for thought. We'll think about it later. So today is Heart Chakra Day, and I think this has a lot to do with it. It's not only throat, it's also intention and believing in self and trust, but your heart is like, it's hard sometimes to say your truth. And if you can get past that area, maybe you can start acting and expressing in that area. If you can really feel that compassion, that balance and stability in what really makes you tick, then hopefully you can start to really express yourself. So today we're just going to go within and really think about something that, has got our goat in some way. And our heartstrings are being pulled, and we're having a hard time just sitting with that and knowing that maybe we need to do something that's hard to say, hard to do, and we're just going to sit with it. Okay, so find a space that feels really comfortable. Props or whatever, please do not replicate anything that I'm doing other than alignment, making sure your hips are below your, they're aligned with your shoulders. Try to relax your shoulders down. And we're going to close our eyes or look ahead about 2 to 3 feet ahead, and release your eyelids as if they're releasing from the forehead, the top of the forehead down to the cheekbones. And sink your chin in slightly so that you feel that extension in the back of the neck up to the top of the head. That helps to release the jaw all the way from the top of the ears down to the sides of the neck. This also opens up the ear canal, helping to soften the palate of the mouth so that you can bring the tongue back into the throat. And just notice the breath as it enters the body through the nose. Let the breath go all the way down into the lower belly and all the way up the spine, up to the head, bloating up the core of the body. And exhale from the forehead all the way down the front of the body, into the lower belly, down into the tailbone, into the spine. And just breathe like that for a little while, noticing the sounds in the air around you. Take it all in. Allow the exhalation to really release all of your tension down toward the ground. And on your next inhalation, I want you to bring to mind a time recently that you felt attached and your heartstrings pulled by something. And you couldn't say or do the things that you really wanted to do. Bring that feeling into the body. Notice where it sits. Notice a color it may represent. And ask it now, what does it need to tell you? What is it that would have felt good to be able to say or do, or both? Thank it now for its advice or help in this matter. Breathe in, and as you breathe in, notice light enter your body and pull in the area where the feeling lies. And as you exhale, let that feeling go through your nose, out into the air and away. Thank it for being and teaching as you say goodbye. Breathing in the light and space, and exhale, let any of that tension and feeling go through the nose into the air. Thank you for being and teaching. And now I want you to bring to mind right in front of you, as if you're in it, you are it. And you have the opportunity to say or do what your feeling said would feel so good. Imagine yourself doing it now with the people or things that you need to do it with. Be right there. See the colors and the shapes, the air, the feeling of the sun or not, the smells around you. Touch something. And if you have anything to taste, taste it now to really transport you in this space. And say and do what would feel so good to do, even though it's hard. Imagine the response, reaction, being pretty good. Good enough. Doesn't really need to be any reaction at all. But what I want you to really experience is how you feel after finally doing it. Like a relief. Like all of that weight of that feeling just went away. Even if the reaction is bad, for some reason it's good. Take that in and breathe that in. Because doing right by you feels good, even if it's hard, and even if others don't like it. You're not mean. You're just doing what's right for you right now. With kindness and compassion for not only you, but for others. Bring yourself back into the here and now on your next inhalation. Feel your space, feel your seat on the ground and the floor, the air around you. Notice your hands on your body or floor, how it feels, how your clothes feel on you. On your next inhalation, we're going to start to move our fingers, toes, and facial muscles, bringing us more and more back into this room. Start to stretch a little bit, rotate your neck and shoulders. And on your next inhalation, slowly bring yourself back even further by opening your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me today. This was a quick one, but I think helpful. And journaling always helps, or recording yourself talking through a problem, or sitting with someone who's separate from the issue, who may not even know all of your life, who doesn't have attachment to your decisions. It's always helpful as well. Thank you so much. And if you're looking for some help, I am here as a coach. My name's Ray from Ray Life Coaching, and I provide one-on-one coaching to people who want to feel really good in their bodies, really want to make great decisions with confidence. That's what I'm here for. Very excited to help people with their boundaries and clarity and direction. So I'm having a really great sale right now until the end of August. So if you're interested, check out my website at Ray, R-A-Y, lifecoaching.com, and click on Work With Me tab, and then go to schedule a free call, and I will put the code down in the notes as to what to enter and how to get a free call with me for an hour. It's like a free coaching call, actually. And also how to get 60% off of my one-to-ones up to 3 months from September into December. So you do have to get that, schedule that free call or fill out that form by August 31st to be in the running for 60% off. So good luck, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for joining me.